very much, Dr. Duile, for having me around again. I think this is the third time I'm going to be involved in your program. And well done for doing this. I mean, to navigate and get the Africans and United States of America together. The African continent, we are partners in progress and we need to do that. And what I'm talking about today is a sustainable ecosystem of African businesses. Well, I think this is a very good topic because there is need for our investors to know what is happening in Africa and how things work in Africa. I know a lot of investors. I know United States of America, they've done a lot of businesses in Africa, especially in Nigeria. And I know we are major partners. And I would say, well, we're looking forward to who is going to win the election. And with that, well, I'm just watching the telly now. I mean, I pray that whoever we pray that we win, will win. A sustainable ecosystem of African businesses. What I'm going to talk about the overview, and I will talk about the wealth of Africa and its potentials, and I will talk about the problems, because there's no point in painting a picture that you don't talk about, because we don't identify problems, we are not going to have profile solutions to those problems, and we will look at the way out. So I will start with the overview. The startup ecosystem in Africa is growing from strength to strength. And if you look at the innovative entrepreneurs across the continent, they are leveraging on technology to turn the challenges they see around them into opportunities. While a few years ago, Africa was probably not on the radar of any of these developed countries, international tech investors are now beginning to pay attention. And according to the Swift in Africa, about $185 million was invested in startups across the continent in 2015. And in 2016, $129 million was invested across Africa startups. And it's been growing every year, I mean, till date. But African employment ecosystem is growing, but there are aspects which limit all this and to reach the full potential. One of the aspects which I'm going to talk about is macroeconomic stability, infrastructure, education, labor market efficiency, technological readiness, and market size. See, if you look at the influence of all these well-succeeded countries, however, it's inspiring to see buoyant entrepreneurial spirit emerging across the African continent. There isn't no country or city without entrepreneurs working to reinvent domestic and international industries. People are taking matters in their own hands and are actually building companies to solve local and international problems. However, compared to the rest of the world, the sub-Saharan Africa is still behind other regions in terms of entrepreneurship, development, and support systems. There's also a large discrepancy between the top and worst performing ecosystem in Africa. With South Africa, the best ranked African countries performing nearly twice as well as Angola, which was ranked last in Africa and second to last globally. However, the rate of growth at which things are improving across the continent, especially in the countries that are ranked low today, are mind-blowing and makes confident that we will see finger improvement in the coming years, to see how things will improve. It should be stressed that there are more active, positive government support needed to reduce the difficulties facing startups and to simplify laws, helping entrepreneurs focus on what really matters in their business. Because if the government fails to support all these startup businesses, they won't get. And that's why some governments, they give, in Nigeria, we have Anchor Bora, we have FMS's funds, we have SMA Clinic, which I happened to be involved when I was in Ogun State. But we have to look at the best African startup cities. And there, we have Lagos, we have Nairobi, we have Cape Town, we have Cairo, we have Tunis, we have Kigali, we have Accra, we have Joburg, Kampala, and Casablanca. But I'm happy to tell you that Lagos actually emerged as the best startups ecosystem in Africa. It ranked ahead of Nairobi, Kenya, and Cape Town, which is in South Africa. The report noted that Nigeria actually entered startup scene later than Kenya. Nigeria came in late, and South Africa, and even Egypt. But they have accelerated quickly and even nurtured unicorn called Jumia, an online shop for electronics, phones, fashion, and recently Paystack, amongst numerous others. And I will tell you the success story of Paystack during the course of my presentation. According to it, the main challenges that Nigeria faces includes inadequate infrastructure, resulting to unreliable power, poor internet connections, which actually, I mean, internet is very key. If I don't have good internet connection, I won't be able to be talking to you now. It's the key project that needs to be focused on, especially the people that are organizing that. Then we are confident that if infrastructure is improved, Nigerian founders will be able to move forward for the benefit of their country and economy. Relatively stable after climbing one spot in the global rankings. Nigeria seems to be enjoying good momentum now. South Africa currently has one city in the top 200. Cape Town is ranked 157 after dropping from 17 spots, while Joburg is ranked 248th after increasing 20 spots. South Africa is still the highest ranked African country, but is no longer in the top 50 club after dropping 13 spots. However, the report noted that despite being one of the Africa's well-established startup ecosystem, Kenya still has room to improve. The country receives far less global funding and investment and has fewer help from government initiatives. So these are areas that we need to look at as even as government, our government need to look at, because they are present, they are higher ranked countries. Kenya is now very close to overtaking South Africa as the highest ranked African country and now ranks at 52. So we need to look at that and see how government, because if there is no support from government, this still will be, because there are so many regulations that have been made by government, and then like we talk about ease of doing business, it must be there. If it's not there, they're going to have problems. Then I mentioned the good success story to you earlier. I said from Paystack to Stripe, a bright light shines on African tech ecosystem. There's the two young men, Shola Akinlade and Ezra Olubi, they are co-founders of Paystack. Good news is that the news broke last month that Stripe, a United States tech company known as specifically as for digital payments in Silicon Valley, has acquired Nigerian tech startup Paystack in a mouth-watering deal rumored to be around $200 million. Paystack is acquired by Stripe to accelerate online commerce across Africa, pending standard closing conditions, including regulatory approvals. So once they get, because that's what I was just talking about, regulatory approval is key. Government approval for them to be able to do all these things. If they don't have the support of government, the problem is there. But it's been acquired, and the news all over. The African tech company is expanding very rapidly. Hello? The acquisition sends positive signals about the tech ecosystem in Africa. The Paystack acquisition will have a ripple.
The opening remarks, I told you that. That's the first part. Okay, no problem. We've started, so it's not a problem. We'll see her in the afternoon. No problem.
Are we back now? The Paystack acquisition.
Yes, we can hear.
Yeah, the Paystack acquisition will have a ripple effect across our entire ecosystem. Investors are getting a payday. This is major. The acquisition also highlights the potential of Nigerian tech ecosystem and African tech ecosystem as a whole. It helps to prove governments and regulators that if the right policies and environments are provided, young Africans have what it takes to play a global stage. The global market is driven more by perception and reality. And as such, a positive outlook on the country is important to drive growth. It also has to be noted that it is very impactful when global players like Stripe pick an interest in startups on the continent. It helps to bring much needed attention to the continent in a positive light. In the continent, and the notion that has been cast in the negative light for so long. I know that African continent, they always have this negative impression, but having them to do great things, it's changed so many things. The importance of positive attention cannot be overemphasized. The Stripe acquisition ever in Nigeria payment startup, that 200 million will go a long way. So another area which I want to talk about is the area of wealth of Africa in its potentials. You see, Africa is rich in many natural resources such as diamond, oil, gold, and other minerals. Yet, it is home for the largest number of poorest globally. They look at them, the poverty level is very, very high in Africa. And every region of Africa has a resource that can generate massive wealth to its people, whether natural resources or human capital. 60% of the continent's population is under the age of 25, and 40% are younger than 15 years old. So you can see that the older ones are probably, they are less than 30% in that. And sub-Saharan Africa is excellent for cultivation of agricultural products to generate unlimited wealth. Yet, we find it impossible to feed even our own people in Africa. So those are areas that we need to look at and focus on. But the problems, like I rightly said, that there are some problems, and if we don't identify problems, we are not going to provide solutions to those problems. The presence of abundance of many resources have contributed to the poverty of the people, as there is such a high level following in the people, armed conflict over control of resources such as mines and wells. See what happens in the north, I mean in our southeast resource, and that's why we have Niger Delta people attacking the oil companies, giving them issues. They're having problems in doing that. So those are areas that the poverty level has actually, they didn't realize that the people that came to invest in that state are bringing in wealth. They're going to create wealth. They're going to create jobs for their people. But it's another problem. Then corruption. Government that sells the resources to to other nationals at the expense of their every own citizens. So government need to actually educate the people to let them know that when these people come in, they are not taking the money. The wealth that is being made there will be used, apply back to the system. And that's why we have NDDC, to be able to put things back to fix all those areas and alleviate the poverty in those areas. But you see, the another problem is that look at our raw materials, cocoa. Cocoa is being taken out of the country in some of them, and they are being brought back in form of chocolate. And those are the things that we can do as startup business in Africa and ensure that we can take the best advantage of that. And those are the areas we need to look at. Then production, we still rely on humans and animals. Those people carrying their raw materials and their good finished products when they harvest, they still use camel, they still use all this. So the primitive way of doing things, they need to help them so that they can have the other ways of, the most, recent and better way of doing things, which is technology. And it has to be, even use technology to now do the clearing and grazing in the farm areas. Then the assumption that business will and capacity equal and yields business success. These are the other problems. The problem of African attitude of environment, social and governance imperatives, and how it affects long-term business strategy. Those are the other problems. And what are the way out of this? What makes a successful, sustainable business in Africa? We consider accountability, we consider transparency, sustainable management models, and profitability. A focus on 3 pillars of sustainable development. Look at the social development, economic growth, environmental protection. The development of business in Africa must be self-sustainable without external help is very key. Then by leveraging on the strength of the people, African startup ecosystem as of 2018 is on par with South Asian of 2014, with an expected significant increase by 2022. Those are areas that we need to look at and the way out. Then by nurturing business partnerships, sustainability is all about the future of any company as well as the community. Consider what impact will be of procuring goods and services from local businesses or spreading sustainable effects to the behavior of suppliers and customers. Those are the key areas we need to look at. Then this would encourage efficiency as well as self-sustenance of the business system. This essentially spells out backward integration, which is the concept bedrock of almost every industrial park springing up in Africa. But I'll give you a good example. What happened in Kenya? There's a Kenyan-based integrated community organization for sustainable empowerment and education for development. They've successfully nurtured a mutually beneficial relationship with local farmers, which is the winner of 217 Switch African Green Seed Awards. They buy banana stems from farmers. They process it into balls of fiber, and then use them to produce the byproducts such as bags, table mats. They even take it a step further by giving the byproduct slurry back to the farmers to use as manure and fertilizers. You see, you can see the integration, the backward integration, which is helping. So ICOSEED factors all these 3 tenets of sustainability in that they have accounted for environmental and well-being by producing environmentally friendly products and promoting the use of slurry for compost and biogas, digesters, social impact by providing job opportunity for STEM transporters. You could see that the people that are transferring those STEMs, they are giving them jobs. You can see the number of people that are doing jobs, and the structures, along with an alternative source of income for hundreds of farmers and economic value. So you could see that basic example of Kenya, how they've been able to do the backward integration and the value chain of production, and how they could do that. The value chain is very key. Then the different ecosystem in Africa is awakening. There has been an observable shift in the approach to business as well as implementation process, which have been adopted, such as recent changes in its trade and international diplomacy, and policies focusing on strategic role of digital trade, which cannot be overemphasized. Then the African will and drive to be excellent in business, as well as creating thriving environment for business survival and growth of many businesses, we only count when these are put in place. To me, for Africa, there are exciting times ahead in the future of trade and role of the government and private sector in serving the market. We should ask ourselves that 20 years from now, when a friend mentions the word trade in a conversation, will we still visualize a physical building in a location, or we will see an innovative system that embraces the needs of clients and addresses and multidimensional nature of African complex economy? The future starts with one thought, one conversation, and one action. Is Africa ready to act and contribute to this global digital business opportunity space? It's a big question. In an emerging surveillance society in which data sharing and surveillance system allow others to know more about us than we do. Therefore, those in know increasingly take advantage of that analysis, thereby creating conditions for a possible future where even if surveillance monitors our brains, quantum breaks the last hope of privacy, protection, and a digital backslash will erupt. But I want to leave the food for thought, which is my final word on this topic, is that Africa is the future, but their innovation ecosystem needs help. We all know of the unavailability of Africa in the 21st century. But to build local ecosystem and make them grow regionally, globally, many obstacles will have to be solved. I thank you very much for listening.